first 3.5 years, 3 years of my career was a wild ride. They're always watching. Like, whatever you do, they are watching. And they won't let you forget. Getting back to Washington was the ultimate goal. I just didn't think it was going to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
Beyond blessed, beyond thankful to be in this building now.
What's good, Commanders family? Brian Corbett Jr. here, and this is the Next Man Up podcast, where we talk to your favorite Commanders players, not so much about X's and O's, more about the man behind the mask. And our next man up is no other than our leader, our tight end, Logan Thomas. Logan, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Hey, man, I'm happy you're here, man. We're approaching the bye week, man, and you stopped with us right before you enjoy your little vacation, man. Do you have anything planned for the bye week, any big things, or are you just trying to get back right?
Definitely get back right, but me and the wife are going to step out, go somewhere, be able to clear the mind a little bit, and hopefully have a little bit of fun, refresh, get back to it.
Well, hopefully this is a good start to that, man. What we'd like to do on the Next Man Up podcast is really take it all the way back. So I want to start in Lynchburg, Virginia. That's where you're from, right?
That's correct.
Talk about Lynchburg, Virginia, and how that helped mold the man that we see here today.
I think Lynchburg's a special place, especially to me. So I grew up in the city. My mom had a house out in the city. She worked a couple of jobs, so at nighttime she would take me to my cousin's house, which is in the county. And that's how I ended up going to Brookville. So the city schools, EC Glass, didn't go there, went to the county school with my cousin. And it was one of those things, is like the whole area kind of just, when you're an athlete from the area that has an opportunity to play, in college or have the opportunity to go pro like I have, the whole city just kind of grabs you and surrounds you and is like, you know what, this is our guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what walk you're from. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, and different. Like, they kind of surround you, and it's nothing but love when I go back. And, anytime I try to do anything there, people show up.
Did that love play a role in you wanting to go to Virginia Tech and staying kind of close to where you're from? Did that play a role in it, or was that just kind of random and just kind of happened?
Yeah, definitely. I prayed about it. God led me to Virginia Tech, but at the same time, my family's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's how far Lynchburg is to Blacksburg. And I wanted to win, so that was a big help too. But, just knowing that I'm going to have the support from people I've known for almost 20 years, that made a big difference as well. And like I said, just thankful and blessed to have all the support that I have had over the years.
Yeah, and your journey at Virginia Tech was very interesting because, if I'm not mistaken, in high school, you really mainly were a wide receiver and a tight end, but then you go to Virginia Tech, and they say, hey, man, we want you throwing this ball, man. We want to put the ball in your hands, man. You played quarterback. Talk about that transition from being a young man and saying, oh, man, we're about to hand you the keys to this entire offense.
Yeah, it was crazy. Thankfully, I had an amazing leader in Tyrod Taylor. I got to see what he was about for 2 years, and then I got to take over. But, I played receiver pretty much growing up my entire life, and then my junior year, midway through my junior year, they popped me at quarterback in high school. And when they recruited me, they were like, yeah, H-back, tight end. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And I just had his feeling. I just knew. So the first day I walk on the campus, they were like, hey, we're going to put you at quarterback. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So, learning was just the speed of the game. At quarterback is very different than it is in high school. High school is kind of half-field reads. Just let your athletes be athletes, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's a good athlete, and you really have to learn, how to conduct yourself, not only on the field but off the field.
How was being in those QB rooms, all that studying, man, all those plays, how does that help you today now that you are a tight end? How has that kind of helped you in your mental?
I think playing quarterback just broadens your thought process and your visuals to what else is out there. I think playing an individual position, you get pigeonholed a little bit, but playing quarterback, you don't have that ability to be pigeonholed. You have to see 22 people or 21 outside yourself. Tight end, you got to see about 5, maybe, I would say, on a play-to-play basis. But, using the knowledge that I had from quarterback made the transition to tight end, and then playing it at a high level just a little bit easier.
Yeah, and then you get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, right?
Yep.
And you were there as a quarterback, moved around a little bit. First 4 years in the league were not necessarily probably what you thought they would be. And then you get to Detroit, and they say, you're going to be a tight end. Was that hard? Was that a hard pill to swallow at that point in your career, saying, okay, I need to make a pivot in my career?
In all honesty, no, not really. I was kind of tired of sitting on the couch anyway. So when they gave me the opportunity, I was like, all right, cool, let's ride. I'm good. I'll put my full, foot forward. I got to provide for this family somehow. And so I got there, spent 36 hours in that building, and then Buffalo claimed me and put me on the active roster, and that's really where it took off for me. And I'm just blessed to have the people around me that I did, that gave me the opportunity, that had the patience.
Yeah.
Because I was raw. I was as raw as it gets. I was heavy enough to play the position, but the body wasn't right. And so it took a year and a half, 2 years to get the body to where it want. And then it was just, the learning process of how to block, how to run the routes the correct way. And, but yeah, the first 3.5 years, 3 years of my career was a wild ride.
Oh, man, I'm sure. And, like, you mentioned Tyrod Taylor. And I remember when he got into the league, they were trying to immediately make him a receiver, right? They didn't think he could play quarterback, thought he was too small, all that stuff. And he was very reluctant to make that change. And it seemed like it really was a hard, like, thing that he was dealing with. Is that what you dealt with those first 3 years? Like, did you have a reluctancy to go back to, like, your roots of receiver and tight end? Like, were you like, I'm going to make this quarterback thing work?
Yeah, definitely. And then coming out into the draft, I had people say, like, if you slip past the 5th round, we're going to draft you as a tight end. And I was like, don't worry about it. Like,
it's not happening.
No, right. So Arizona drafted me in the 4th as a quarterback. But in my mind, the whole time I knew I had been given these God-given abilities to, if I do make this transition, I have the opportunity to do so. And I felt comfortable catching the football. I felt comfortable running routes. It would just be learning the nuances of and the tougher points of, blocking and being a full complete tight end.
Yeah, and then you go through all of this. You go through this transition, and then you end up signing with Washington.
Yep.
This was your favorite team growing up as a kid, right?
It was. I grew up watching them every Sunday with my grandpa.
Wow.
It was pretty much anything and everything Washington at that point. And so, like, getting back to Washington was the ultimate goal. I just didn't think it was going to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
And, beyond blessed, beyond thankful to be in this building now.
And when you got to come in this building for that first time as an actual player of your favorite team, man, what emotions, what feelings did you have being able to represent that W on your chest?
It was one of those things where it was a deep breath, but I knew the work wasn't done. It was just the beginning because I wanted to be here. I wanted to make this place work. I wanted to be here for the rest of my career, and it's been great for my family. And putting the W on, it was different than what I thought it was going to be. Growing up, that was the ultimate goal. It was like get to the league, get to the league, and then it was one of those things. It was like I'm really here. Like I'm really where I want to be, where I pictured myself being, and just beyond blessed and thankful. And all the people I've met along the way that got me to where I'm at, I got a lot of love and respect for them as well.
And is it crazy being in the position you're in now? Because now you're the veteran, you're the savvy veteran, you're the leader, you're a big part of this team with everything you've gone through. Like you said, you was on the couch at some times, and now you're the leader of this team. What is that like for you? Do you have these moments where I'm like, dang, I went through all this? Like, do you have those moments?
Yeah, I know early on it was a whole lot more than it is now. Now I just embrace my role, embody my role. Obviously, football's football. Like that tight end is my role there, but just being a person off the field that the other 52 guys plus that we have can count on. They got questions if they need anything, if they got ideas they want to bounce. They know that they can come to me. I'm going to give them the best answer I can give them. And if I don't got the answer, I can find it for them. And I take a lot of joy in that as well because, I've lived a lot of life. I've seen a lot of things. And if I can do something early on in a guy's career that keeps them from making the mistakes that I made, that's what makes the difference for me. So I embrace that role off the field, definitely of leader.
And you do a great job at it. Like, you're not only a leader in here, but it feels like throughout this whole area, the whole DMV, really, they see you as that and they herald you as that. I want to take it back to last year. We just got done with, I think it's still going on, actually, the My Cause, My Cleats. And last year, you chose, like, for those who don't know, My Cause, My Cleats, you're allowed to represent a certain thing that means something to you outside the field. A lot of times it's a charity and things like that. Last season, you chose a specific charity. Can you tell us what that was and why you chose that?
Yeah, I chose the Tiny Miracles Foundation.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I, we miscarried in Buffalo in 2017 with a little girl. Her name's Brooklyn Rose.
Yeah.
16 weeks, everything felt normal prior, and not really sure what happened. There wasn't a diagnosis that gave it away. Just stop beating, and so we miscarried. During that time, it was a tough time.
Yeah.
And one of those things that people don't know is that nobody really talks about miscarriage.
At all.
And it happens so frequently. But people keep all that pent up inside and bury it. And honestly, for me, it wasn't healthy. For my wife, being able to talk about it has been very healthy for her. And talking to people that have gone through it as well. It's been amazing what you receive back from just speaking your truth. And, for us, obviously tough times, but without that, we wouldn't have our youngest son, Devin. And talk about a miracle. That was a miracle. He's an amazing kid. He's a blast. But there's not a day that goes by. There's not a Sunday that, you know, if you see me run out, I go straight to the bench, say my prayer, tell her hello. And, you know, it's just one of those things where if you can take what we lost and if we can broadcast that to other people that are going through it and let them know that they're not alone, because, you know, you see us, we're gladiators, we're warriors, we're whatever, but at the same time, we're people as well. We go through things too. And, you know, if you want to have a conversation, I'm all for the conversation.
And when you have those conversations, what is the advice you tend to give when people are asking you, like, listen, we just went through this ourselves. How did you cope? Like, what is the kind of advice you give to people to help them get through that time?
The first thing I say, it's not easy, and it's a process. It's not something that you're going to wake up one day and it's just going to be gone, right? Like, it's something that you're going to build on. And it's okay to have the conversation, because when you speak about it, you're not forgetting the person that you lost. You're not forgetting your child that you lost. And I think it matters just to have those conversations. And I just try to tell people, like, just stay up. Like, there's brighter days ahead. Like, yeah, you're going to have to build on it every day. Every day is going to be its different learning curve. Every day is going to be a different process. But if you can use it just to better yourself, because you're not going to be the last person that it happens to.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the last person that you know that it happens to. So you got to use your platform, whether you have one or not. You're going to hear somebody that had one, and you can speak to them and let them know, guess what? Brighter days are ahead too. If you can bring that joy just a little bit to them, it makes it easier.
It's so great to hear you talk about it so calmly, because, I mean, I know that something like that couldn't have been easy while you were dealing with it. You said it was back in Buffalo. You're going through your own career transition. You're already a parent. You're a husband. You're the patriarch of your household. How were you able to deal with those feelings? Because a lot of times as men, like you said, we big men, we gladiators, right? Like, we're not always allowed to be vulnerable. How did you find your area and your safe space to be vulnerable?
You know, I think for me, I've always been able to just brush things off just because that's kind of our job.
Yeah.
But being able to confide in my wife, because I know that she was going through the same thing. Obviously, it hits women, I think, sometimes different than it hits men.
For sure.
Their body, like, obviously I get all that. But throughout our whole relationship, we've always been able to bounce things off of each other. And so definitely that. And then I've had a lot of good men along the way. In Buffalo at the time, I had a lot of good people.
Yeah.
The Hydes, Michael Hyde and his wife, they were amazing to us. Jerry Hughes, when he was there, they were amazing to us. And, you know, it was just, you know, those people have your back. You can bounce stuff off of them. But at the end of the day, when you're in your lowest, you always have those people to grab you, pick you up off your feet or to your feet and show you love. And, you know, if you can do that for somebody else, that's really what matters.
Man, that's awesome to hear. And thank you for sharing that. And like I said, you're a father of 5 sons, 5 boys. I have a son. How rewarding is it to be a boy dad? We always hear about girl dads, but how rewarding is it to be a boy dad and have these young men look at you the way they look at you?
I definitely think, obviously, very different. Boy dad, girl dad, very different. My wife always wanted a girl. Like, yeah, obviously the women want a little girl, but being able to come home after a game, and my oldest, 15, understands football, and he talks to me about certain plays or certain things that happen. That's the thing that's rewarding, though, is like he's being able to see what I do for a living. He sees what I do when I'm at the facility, when I come home, how I take care of myself, or how I eat, or how I respect the other people in the area, and especially my wife. And when I come home, I try to put a smile on my face no matter what's going on, because he's got to see that from when he's a grown man. He's got a family of his own, right? So for us, it's like, just be you, be the best version of you can, because they're always watching. Like, whatever you do, they are watching.
And they're going to remember as well.
No doubt. And they won't let you forget.
They won't. And you said you have a 15-year-old, and what are the other ages?
I got 15, 14, 13, 7, and 5.
You just listed it off. 7. Those are some fun years. Now, I know a lot of times, especially with boys, right? I mean, even probably us with our dads, right? Like, you don't realize how cool your dad really is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do your boys, other than your 15-year-olds, y'all talking football, do your other boys realize, like, my dad's a star tight end in the NFL? Do they realize that yet?
The older 3 understand it. I don't know. They just see dad, right? Like, they see the same goofy, dumb guy that comes home and is cracking jokes. Just being, just trying to make a smile come on their face. My 7-year-old, he's starting to figure it out. Like, he's like going to school and he was like, Yeah, my dad plays football for a living there, and all the other kids react
Freaking
in a
out.
different way, right? Like, my dad's an accountant. My dad does this. Like, he's starting to piece it together. He's like, oh, okay. So this is different. Like, this is not normal. 5-year-old, yeah, 5-year-old. He's just running
He's
around.
just running around.
Yeah, he's just out there. So it is cool to see them start to understand, and then, like, during training camp, when they get to come and be around the guys working, I think that's really cool for them, too.
Man, you're setting a great example for them. And you had like a viral moment this year in Seattle with DK Metcalf. You come up there and you tell him, hey, man, I just want to let you know my son's a big fan of yours. And that's all I don't think you expected anything other than to just give him his love like that. And he takes his jersey off and says, this is for your son. What was that moment like for you as a father? And, I mean, you guys were just competing on the field. What was that moment like for you?
First off, I got a lot of respect for him for even doing that, for that to come across his mind. And for me, it was very rewarding for me, but I know for my son it meant a lot as well. And as soon as he got it home, framed it, put it up in the room. So it's really cool that he even had that. But for me, I think it just shows who these people are underneath the helmet, underneath the jersey, the pads, and we're real people. We have things that we care about outside of football too. And so, yeah, like I said, it's just really cool for him to do that.
What does your son say to you when you come home, you bring that jersey? I'm sure you showed him the video or he's seen it himself. He's old enough to probably have it on social media. What was that conversation like when you brought him this jersey?
So, first off, I had no clue that he was mic'd up, so I had no idea that any of this was going to, come to fruition. And so, like, I showed it to him. He was like, oh, that's cool. You jersey swapped with DK? I was like, nah, man, like, read it. Like, read it.
Read what it says.
It has your name on it. It's not for me. Like, you're the one who always talks about him. You're the one who wears 14 because of him. Like, his school colors are red, white, and blue, like Ole Miss's colors. Yeah. Like, I was like, this is for you, man. I got this for you. Not that I asked for it, but, I was like, I think it's really cool that he even did that. And so it's something that I'll remember for, until I'm gone.
That's awesome, man. And then, like you said, your 15-year-old boy's playing football. He's in there going through the same things you were going through as a young man, man. What is it like being on that side of it? You lived it. You've been here. You made it to the promised land. Now you get to watch somebody else that has dreams and aspirations. What's that like?
I think it's cool because I'm watching a kid that doesn't know what he has yet.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
He's 15, but he has no idea what that body that he has can do. And he had a good season this year, 7 touchdowns. He just doesn't know, like, the specimen that he is. I mean, the size, the speed that he has, and he's still learning football. Like, he's figuring it out on the run. And as a dad, like, I try to, after every game or practice that I watch, I just try to give a little tidbit, but I try not to, choke him out with it because obviously you don't want to turn him away from it. And it's just really cool watching him blossom into the kid that he is. Now he's got 2 younger brothers that are just underneath him that are going to be pushing him the entire way. Yeah. That's really cool too, man. Just the 13-year-old, he's blessed beyond belief. The 14-year-old's got the size and the length. So it's cool to see them push each other. It's just my job to keep them confined, keep that box tight, and make sure they don't try to, stray outside of it.
Well, they clearly got a good leader and a good role model, and you've been a great leader for this team. Very young quarterback in Sam Howell, first year as a full-time starter, and you called him a baller. Talk about Sam a little bit and what you've seen through his progression through this first season as a starter and how you've helped him.
I think first things first is his toughness.
Yeah,
I think that is something that not everybody talks about. Probably people don't see it, don't care about it or anything like that because it's football. Everybody's tough, right? But the shots that he's taken, he's got up, the throws that he's made while being hit, the runs that he's made, getting hit by 2-3 people, breaking it off, scoring. And the thing is, he gets up and doesn't say a word. He just trots off, gets ready to do it again. Yeah. He can make every throw. He can make easy things. He can make look even easier than they are. He can make hard things look easy. He's got great ball placement. He's got velocity. He's got every tool you could possibly want. And earlier in the season, he'll tell you that he was holding on the ball too long, not finding the right lanes to get out and escape. Now he's getting the ball out, staying on schedule. So he's just he's everything you want a technical rookie quarterback to be, right? But he's going to explode, and he has been throughout the season.
And what helps is having somebody like you, man, and you've been through all this, right? You set these goals, and you've accomplished these goals. Now you're a veteran. You got the money now. You got the position. You're a leader. What is your goals now?
Yeah, for me, it's all about winning. and encouraging my teammates to be the best version of themselves. It's no different than how I treat my kids and you know, building them up. At the same time, like, I've gone through all of it. I've made all the mistakes. I've done all the dumb things that you don't want to do, right? And so I just try to pour that experience onto them. And, you know, the last couple of weeks haven't been great for us.
Yeah.
It's not my first time going through it.
Right.
And so I'm able to preach and stand on my soapbox and tell them, like, look, man, this isn't the end of the world. We got a lot to play for. We got personal goals to do. We got things that we want to do next year, and it's still building blocks at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put you back on your soapbox before I let you go, because it is the bye week, man. I got to let my guy get off to those 5 kids. That's your ISO camera right there, man. Look at that camera and talk to the Commanders fans and explain to them what you guys need from them at this backstretch of the season.
Commanders fans, we just need y'all to show up, be loud, and show support. We feel you guys when you're in the stands. It makes a huge difference. You know, when we see all that burgundy and gold running around out there, it definitely makes a difference. So please show up. Don't lose faith. Yeah, we've had a rough season, but we got to have y'all show up.
Logan, man, we appreciate your time so much, man. A true leader, man, a great father, and I have no doubt your boys, man, have a great person to look up to, man. So we really appreciate your time. Commanders family, this is the Next Man Up podcast, and our next man up is no other than Logan Thomas, brother. Enjoy your bye week, man, and can't wait to see what you do the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
My guy.